Hello and welcome to Science Monitor, a show that brings to you the most significant news from the world of science, technology, innovation, research, discoveries and much more. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor and here are this week's headlines. As the 6th edition of the Bengaluru Space Expo concludes, ISRO's space suit for Indian astronauts for Gaganyaan, India's first manned space mission, shines as the star attraction. 6th International Geriatric Orthopedic Society of India Conference successfully organized at the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi, with the theme Increased Longevity with Reduced Fragility and Enhanced Mobility. Scientists at Indian Institute of Technology, Madras developed India's first green supermarket refrigeration system using carbon dioxide. Vidyarthi Vigyan Manthan opens for registration till 30th of September with the aim to popularize science among the students of class 6th to 11th. Our top story this week. To provide a platform for international space agencies to come together and share their advancements in the field of space research and developments, the Indian Space Research Organization, or ISRO, and the Confederation of Indian Industry organized the 6th edition of Bengaluru Space Expo last week on the theme Creating Dynamism in Indian Space Ecosystem. The star attraction of the expo was the space suit developed by ISRO and the Space Agency's Crew module, which was used and recovered in a 2014 test unmanned mission. A similar capsule, which is a living space and a control center for astronauts, will carry Indian astronauts into space for the country's maiden human space mission, Gaganyaan. Science Monitor brings you a report.
In the last few decades, India has emerged as a leader in space technology, and ISRO, or the Indian Space Research Organization's track record speaks for itself. Now, as India braces for the next big step in its quest for space exploration by putting the first Indian astronauts into space by 2022 as a part of Gaganyaan mission, the excitement is palpable. And this was clearly evident at the 6th Bengaluru Space Expo, or BSX 2018, an international exhibition on space, satellites, launch vehicles and its technologies and services organized by the Confederation of Indian Industry, or CII, in association with ISRO and its commercial arm, the Antrix Corporation Limited, held from 6 to 8 September in Bengaluru. The theme for the expo was Creating Dynamism in Indian Space Ecosystem, Enabling New Space in India. Its aim is to build a stronger and vibrant ecosystem for manufacturing satellites, space technology and applications. Hundreds of school students and other visitors made a beeline to the venue, crowding the pavilion for a glimpse of the Crew module and a model of Indian-made space suit that will be worn by India's astronauts for their space mission.
Definitely, we are working on a small satellite launch vehicle. This satellite launch vehicle will be able to launch about 500 to 700 kg satellite in the lowest orbit of 500 km from the Sriharikota. If I say this, what is the new in this launch vehicle? It is not like a PSLV. This vehicle is not like a PSLV. This is a very innovative vehicle. Also, this vehicle is such that the total integration of the vehicle should take place in 72 hours. This is the one innovation.
The orange-colored prototype space suit was developed over the past 2 years at Vikram Sarabhai Space Center in Thiruvananthapuram. It can hold one oxygen cylinder, allowing an astronaut to breathe in space for 60 minutes. India proposes to send 3 astronauts into space who will stay there for 5 to 7 days in the Crew module capsule at a distance of 400 km orbit from the Earth's surface. They will be able to see India from space twice every 24 hours and will conduct experiments on microgravity. Microgravity is the condition in which people or objects appear to be weightless.
The particular Gaganyaan program is new to ISRO. And in fact, I would say that it's a boost to ISRO's the technical capability, and it is going to really make a challenge for the ISRO. Mainly because this particular activity is not only engineering aspect. We are very good in engineering, launch vehicle or satellite, but the payload for this mission is human.
Over 16 ISRO centers, 90 exhibitors and delegates from 15 countries, including France, Germany, Japan, UK and USA participated in the event. At the conference, World Space Biz, leaders from global space agencies and industry came together to discuss agendas like launch vehicle opportunities and avenues for industries, emerging technologies, solar cells and space transportation and infrastructure. Parallel sessions were conducted for the industry to provide an overview on the areas where Indian industry can look forward to working with ISRO and other international partners. As a special endeavour, a special session for students was also held. The French National Centre for Space Studies, Russian Space Agency's launch service provider Glavkosmos and Taiwan's National Space Organization were among other space agencies that showcased satellites and launchers. The responsibilities that has been given to ISRO by the country on placing astronauts into space is a prestigious challenge. But it also marks a major transition of ISRO as it will create extensive infrastructure, develop technologies and capacities that will serve the development of the country in a number of ways in the decades to come.
The elderly are at a higher risk of getting bone disorders as their muscles become weak and lose their flexibility after a certain age. There are greater chances of developing bone problems if there is less physical activity and due to unhealthy diets. To create awareness about bone problems and precautions to prevent them in the future, the 6th International Geriatric Orthopedic Society of India Conference was organized on the theme Increased Longevity with the Reduced Fragility and Enhanced Mobility at the All India Institute of Medical Sciences in New Delhi. With India's large and growing population of elderly, it becomes imperative that there is more focus on geriatric issues. Science Monitor brings you this report.
Bones are the strong, rigid and flexible tissues that give structural support to our body. They help us to run, walk, sit, exercise and do different activities. The human body consists of 206 bones, but with growing age, they become weak and lose their strength. India accounts for 104 million elderly population. The All India Institute of Medical Sciences, or AIIMS, in New Delhi organized a combined meeting of the 6th International Geriatric Orthopedic Society of India Conference with Fragility Fracture Network and current concepts in arthroplasty. Arthroplasty is the surgical reconstruction or replacement of a joint. The event was held from 6 to 9 September. It was inaugurated by Rajnath Singh, Minister of Home Affairs, Government of India, and Ashwini Kumar Chaubey, Minister of State for Health and Family Welfare. The theme of the conference was Increased Longevity with Reduced Fragility and Enhanced Mobility. The conference was attended by international specialists, surgeons, along with interdisciplinary experts of the geriatric orthopedics field. The objective of the conference was to spread awareness and sensitize the public about bone-related issues like fractures and osteoporosis, a condition in which bones become weak and brittle due to aging. The doctors highlighted the fact that the elderly are at a higher risk of a hip attack, where the hip joint suffers from a fracture which can be treated mainly through surgeries.
हम लोग जो हिप फ्रैक्चर है इसको हिप अटैक बोलते हैं। जिस तरह से हार्ट अटैक और ब्रेन अटैक लाइफ थ्रेटनिंग होते हैं, हिप अटैक लाइफ थ्रेटनिंग होता है। अमेरिका में जिनके पेशेंट की हेल्थ हमारे पेशेंट से ज़्यादा अच्छी होती है और जहाँ पे मेडिकल केयर वर्ल्ड की बेस्ट में से है, उसमें से भी 4 में से 1 आदमी मर जाता है साल में इस फ्रैक्चर के बाद। तो इस फ्रैक्चर के बाद मतलब जो है, जब हम पेशेंट के अटेंडेंट से बात करते हैं तो उनको ये समझाते हैं कि ये मत समझिए कि इनका थोड़ा सा पैर फिसल गया था बाथरूम में तो इनकी हड्डी टूट गई है, गिर के मामूली सी है। इसमें लाइफ को रिस्क, हिंदुस्तान में तो एक स्टडी हुई थी तो उन्होंने ये देखा कि ऑलमोस्ट 50% पेशेंट गायब हो चुके थे।
The bone tissue in our body is constantly renewed, which helps to replace the old damaged ones with the new tissues. In this way, the bone maintains mass and flexibility, thus providing its strength and enabling the joints to move. But as we grow old, these tissues take time to replace and build, causing fragility in bones and making them prone to fractures. According to the doctors at AIIMS, around 75% of people develop bone and muscle problems due to age-associated osteoporosis. Osteoporosis is the major cause of fractures in the hip, spine, and wrist. The problem needs attention as people above the age of 65 sustain fracture for a longer period of time, and surgical risk is higher as compared to younger population. The weakening of bones with time is attributed to poor diet, vitamin D deficiency, less exercise, reduced bone mobility, and continuous sitting. To avoid weakening of bones, one should take a diet rich in calcium and vitamin D, regular exercise, less use of fortified food, etc. The AIIMS Orthopedics Department has also started 2 new programs, Sathi and Sahara. The program aims to provide elderly population a support after suffering from any kind of fracture. Specialists will guide patients about proper precautions and care to be taken for bones. In addition to the conference, a special public lecture was delivered by Dr. Rajesh Malhotra on strong bones, healthy and safe aging. 2 books were also launched during the event: Mastering Orthopedic Techniques, Revision Knee Arthroplasty by Professor Rajesh Malhotra, and Guidelines for Aging with Health, Grace and Dignity by Professor S.M. Tulli. The event proved to be beneficial in understanding the growing trends of bone-related issues, which are now largely linked to change in the lifestyles. Moreover, the conference provided a common platform for the public, doctors, surgeons and nurses to come together and take significant measures in solving this problem.
It's time for a short break here, and when we come back, we will see how scientists have developed India's first green supermarket refrigeration system. Keep watching Science Monitor.
India is spending something like $10 billion a year in fertilizer costs. If we have better management, there's a massive financial saving there. Prime Minister Mr. Modi has already, in his Man Ki Baat statement from November last year, made a call to halve fertilizer use in India. That's an amazingly ambitious call. For some people, the solution will be more efficient, smarter fertilizers. For other people, they say, no, I want to go organic and, for example, have a zero-budget natural farming. I personally think that both have got things to offer, and let's see how they get on in the years ahead, which one is going to deliver most effectively. The big challenge for nitrogen is that most people don't know about it. Everybody has heard of carbon. You get a carbon footprint with your breakfast cereal nowadays, but if I talk about nitrogen, many people don't know about it. That awareness has to be the #1 issue, because until everybody's aware, we do nothing.
Watch Eureka with Professor Mark Azarton, Chair at International Nitrogen Initiative. Saturday 4 p.m. and Sunday 12 noon, only on Rajya Sabha Television.
The process of subjecting food or drink to cold temperatures to chill or preserve them is an age-old concept. But thanks to the discoveries and developments in the refrigeration technique over the last 150 years, the idea of refrigeration has become a household concept. But modern techniques of using chlorofluorocarbon, hydrochlorofluorocarbon and hydrofluorocarbon for refrigeration have proven to be harmful to the environment. To provide an alternative solution, researchers led by Dr. Prakash Maya at the Indian Institute of Technology, Madras, have developed a refrigeration system using carbon dioxide. Here is a report.
Refrigeration is a process of keeping an item below room temperature by storing the item in a system designed to cool or freeze. For centuries, people have preserved and stored food like milk and butter in cellars, outdoor window boxes, or even underwater in nearby lakes, streams, or wells to keep them fresh and prevent them from getting spoiled with bacteria and other contamination. But even these methods could not prevent it from rapid spoilage. Refrigeration industry began by use and supply of natural ice in the year 1879. However, contentious digging of natural ice and growing population creates severe issues about quality of ice and became a serious health problem. This led to birth of refrigeration technology. New technology was developed to provide good solution for effective cooling and improving shelf life and quality of food and other products. In this technology, cooling is done by synthetic refrigerants such as chlorofluorocarbon or CFC, hydrochlorofluorocarbon or HCFC, and hydrofluorocarbon or HFC.
Unfortunately, all these synthetic agents have adverse effect on the environment.
For providing effective solution to refrigeration industry, a team of researchers from Indian Institute of Technology, Madras have developed India's first CO2 transcritical system, which can even work efficiently at 45 degrees Celsius.
India is growing and there is immense potential for refrigeration needs. At present, the penetration is only 5%. At present, the synthetic refrigerants are used. They are detrimental to environment. HFCs will have to be phased down in the next 10 years. The refrigerant used in this system is CO2, carbon dioxide, which is a natural refrigerant, environment friendly. The system has modified to include many advanced components like ejectors, internal heat exchangers, so that its efficiency, COP, is comparable to the existing conventional systems.
While searching eco-friendly refrigerants, Dr. Prakash Maya and his team went back to natural refrigerants as they are abundant in nature and are non-harmful to the environment. Considering these parameters, their search ended with a selection of carbon dioxide or CO2 gas. The efficacy of CO2 has already been proved as a good refrigerant, and it has been used in early days too. Usefulness of CO2 has been improved by an ejector technology developed by Dr. Prakash Maya, which is found to be the most suited for high temperature heating applications.
The major modifications which we have made in the system is using the ejectors to recover the throttling part, to reduce the throttling losses of the system. As we can say, CO2 when working in high ambient conditions has a huge losses. That's true actually, that we have huge losses with CO2 systems with high ambient conditions, but with the modifications of this special component like ejector, we are recovering those losses. The different ejectors which we are using in the system are high ejection ratio, low ejection ratio, and a very beautiful new design is a liquid ejector, which is helpful in flooding the evaporators, which are recovering the loss of the evaporators. The major task of these ejectors are the losses. They are using the losses of this system to increase the pressure lift. And this pressure lift is overall compensating the input, the work input of the system.
CO2 transcritical system developed by researchers at IIT Madras is a part of Indo-Norwegian project funded by Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Government of Norway through SINTEF and NTNU in Norway. The fact that CO2 gas is abundantly available in the environment and is eco-friendly makes this new system a perfect solution for the current problem faced by refrigeration industry. It has wide applications from dairy industries to hotels, hospitals, and even in multi-temperature applications such as supermarkets.
Vidyarthi Vigyan Manthan or VVM, an initiative of Vijnan Bharti or Vibha in collaboration with the National Council of Education, Research and Training, an institution under the Ministry of Human Resource Development, and Vigyan Prasar, an autonomous organization of the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, held its orientation for 2018-19 and felicitation program for VVM 2017-18 on 11th of September. VVM is a national program for educating and popularizing science among school students of 6th to 11th standards. Registration for the program is now open and the last date for it is the 30th of September.
Nurturing young minds at a tender age plays an important role in building their interest towards subjects and eventually in choosing a particular career. Since last year, Vijnan Bharti, in collaboration with Vigyan Prasar, an autonomous organization of Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, and National Council of Education, Research and Training, or NCERT, is organizing an online examination named Vidyarthi Vigyan Manthan, or VVM. VVM is a national examination held to foster science education among the school children of class 6 to 9th. The major objective of the examination is to develop science interest among students and to provide hands-on training to students through workshops and experiments. In addition, the winners get an opportunity to visit various research and development institutions in the country to interact with scientists and researchers. Recently, an orientation cum felicitation program for VVM winners of last year was organized. In the event, students and teachers were briefed about the examination for the upcoming year.
This is one of the best initiative wherein my children is not only known about the Indian contribution to science, but children comes to with altogether new dimensions of thinking in the aspect of the learning the science. Because at the state and national level, once the first level exam gets over, they get a chance to have an interaction. They will be evaluated on the various aspects of development of their knowledge, development of their mind scale, etc.
The Vidyarthi Vigyan Manthan examination is held in 3 stages: school, district and state level. The syllabus of the examination includes 50 questions from science and mathematics from NCERT curriculum with 1 mark each. Another section on Indian contribution to science comprises of 20 questions. The participants have to study the VVM study material. The next part of the syllabus includes list of stories of Dr. Meghnad Saha and Srinivasa Ramanujan compiled under VVM study material. This section has 20 questions. And lastly, logic and reasoning with 10 questions of 1 mark each. Students can prepare for this session through general reading. After successfully qualifying the school level examination, participants are selected for district and state level examination. 12 shortlisted students are selected for the national level competition. This year, the organization has also invited differently able students to participate in the examination. The wide variety of topics covered under the Vidyarthi Vigyan Manthan will give students an overview and in-depth knowledge of the science subjects, emphasizing on its importance for the development of the nation. The last date for registration is 30th September 2018 and the date of examination is 25th and 28th November 2018. For further details, visit the website www.vvm.org.in.
It's time for a short break, and when we come back, we will bring you some more news on science and innovation from India and around the world. Keep watching Science Monitor.
Tales that inspire. Stories of social change. A salute to diversity. Promoting public discourse. Events that motivate. Inspiring the innovative spirit. Watch Rajya Sabha television documentaries.
Welcome back after the break, and now let's take a quick look at some more scientific innovations and developments from India and around the world.
On 13 September, Honorable Minister of Science and Technology, Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Dr. Harshvardhan laid the foundation stone for Syama Prasad Mukherjee Advanced Research and Training or SMART facility at the Indian Association for Cultivation of Science or IACS in Baruipur near Kolkata. The SMART campus would host an international center for fundamental research and technology, which will be a multidisciplinary initiative to promote cutting-edge research in various fundamental, engineering and medical sciences. The construction work for SMART campus is expected to be completed by March 31, 2020. The Indian Space Research Organisation or ISRO has announced a new program called Unispace Nanosatellite Assembly and Training by ISRO or Unnati. The announcement was made by Dr. K. Sivan, Chairman ISRO, on the 50th anniversary of the first United Nations Conference on the Exploration and Peaceful Uses of Outer Space held in Vienna. The program will be conducted by ISRO's U.R. Rao Satellite Center in Bengaluru from January 2019. The program will give an opportunity to participant countries in training for assembling, integrating and testing of nanosatellites. National Aeronautics and Space Administration's rover Curiosity has captured a fading dust storm in the red planet Mars atmosphere. The 360-degree view was captured from the Curiosity's current location, Vera Rubin Ridge on the planet. According to the scientists, the rover has also surveyed the surrounding of the current location and collected new rock samples from the planet. The Ocean Cleanup, a non-profit organization, launched a 2,000-foot-long boom which was towed from San Francisco to the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, an island of trash twice the size of Texas. The system is equipped with solar-powered lights, cameras, sensors and satellite antennas. The Ocean Cleanup also aims to deploy 60 free-floating barriers to collect garbage in the Pacific Ocean by 2022.
And in the history of science, this week we remember Yelavarthi Nayudamma. He was an Indian chemical engineer born on 10th of September 1922 in Andhra Pradesh. The focus of his research work was in the field of leather science, where he studied the phenomenon of the leather shrinking and mechanisms of tanning. He also studied the structure of collagen, which is a structural protein found in skin and connective tissues. He played a significant role in the growth of a central leather research institute at Chennai by conducting researches and organizing workshops. He was honored with the prestigious award Padma Shri in 1971 and the Raja Lakshmi Award in the year 1983. He was also the founder president of the Committee for Science and Technology for Developing Countries. He passed away on 23rd of June in 1985. His notable work in the field of leather science continues to be beneficial for the industry even today. Well, that is all for this episode of Science Monitor. You can send your feedback and suggestions to Science Monitor on our email ID news@vigyanprasar.gov.in. You can also write into us at Vigyan Prasar C24, Kutub Institutional Area, New Delhi 110016. We'll see you again next week with another episode of Science News and Innovations. Till then, goodbye and take care.